Hey guys, this is Blake with the Three Hand Hunter channel, and I want to welcome you to today's video. This is an exciting video for me. I'm showing you guys my WILDCARD watch, the Crepas Tornado. Now, if you like to see watches that are a little bit different, maybe than some of the other watches you might see on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this channel down below. It really helps out. Makes me feel good that I can produce a video for you guys and show you something that you might not have seen before. And that's what this watch is. This watch, I think, is going to be rather unique. I'm not sure if a lot of you have seen this. But I want to talk a little bit about what a WILDCARD watch is to me. I think as watch enthusiasts, we end up collecting a lot of the same watch. Like, I own a lot of dive watches that all have black dials or white dials, similar bezels, and the WILDCARD watch is a watch that's a little bit outside of the norm of what I might normally buy. If I'm going out to dinner with some friends or family and I want to wear something a little bit different, that's when I put on this watch. And this watch definitely is different. So let's talk a little bit about Crepas, and let's talk about how I actually came across this watch. So Crepas is a micro brand company out of Spain. They, from their website, this is what it says: our watches are meant for professionals, collectors, and diving enthusiasts who want a watch with a classic design, but made with the latest technology at competitive prices and always with the exclusiveness, of a limited series. And this is a limited series watch. There's only 400 of these out in the wild, and that's pretty cool. I always appreciate that. Now, they are a micro brand out of Spain, like I said, and they claim to use some of the best materials. And I'm going to tell you, the watch itself is probably the best constructed micro brand watch I've ever owned. I'm going to show you like a lot of the specifics on the watch, but let's talk about how I came across it. Years ago, I was looking for a watch after reading an article on Hodinkee or a blog to watch on a Bulova Sea Hunter. If you've ever seen a Bulova Sea Hunter, they're pretty cool. They come with the old Squale cases, the ones that they used in the Blancpain 50 Fathoms, the Squale, I forget what model it is that they use right now, but it's kind of like a block shape, really cool watch. But that Bulova Sea Hunter had this huge high dome crystal, and I fell in love with the crystal. I thought it was the coolest thing I've ever seen. And then, I in my searches, I came across eventually the Sandoz Typhoon, which this watch is actually a homage of. The Sandoz Typhoon was this vintage, I believe 60s, 70s diver, and it was super cool. Same high dome crystal, but it had this very cool case, different than the Squale case that was used on so many old vintage divers. And then as I was looking at the Sandoz Typhoon, I'm like, yeah, I've owned some vintage divers, and every time I put on a vintage watch, I feel like they're kind of fragile, and I end up not wearing them as much as I'd like to wear them. And then I came across the Crepas brand, and they do homages of a lot of vintage popular divers, and they do them in limited quantities, and I came across the Crepas Tornado. Now, what you're going to realize with this brand is, especially if you're in the United States, you're not going to see them that often, but it's a really unique brand because they make so many cool watches and they're so well constructed. And that's what I'm here to show you today, is how cool this particular watch is. So let's talk about the watch itself. So the watch has a 43 millimeter asymmetrical case. Now, asymmetrical, look at the case design, okay? It's 43 millimeters, but it wears more like a 40 millimeter or 41 millimeter, because it's 41 millimeters at the bezel, okay? So it doesn't wear as big as it sounds. But the asymmetrical case, kind of like a turtle, or in a sense where the crown guards are part of the case. You see how they bolt out on the right hand side and it protects the crown, right? That's how the original Sandoz Typhoon was constructed as well. Now, the watch without the crystal, without this huge high dome crystal, they say is only 12 millimeters. I have a caliper right next to me, and their numbers are correct. But with the high dome crystal, it's about 17 millimeters. And I'm going to show you really quick. You can see here, it's about 17 millimeters, 17.2, 17.3, okay? Now, the thing about that is when you have a watch with such a big crystal, it does feel like, you know, you like for me, I'm always worried I'm gonna scrape it on something. So I always keep that in mind. That's why I do wear this watch sparingly. It's my WILDCARD watch. It's a watch that I wear, you know, in certain situations. But let's talk about more dimensions. 49 millimeters lug to lug, or you know, lug to lug distance. The lug width is 20 millimeters, so it's very capable of wearing a lot of different bands. As you can see, I have this on this Cola Reb vintage band. I tend to wear it on this a lot when I don't have it on a shark mesh if I'm going swimming with the watch. But it wears awesome. You know why it wears awesome? See these lugs? See how it turns down? Throwing a NATO underneath this, it just wraps around your wrist. It feels so good. So let's talk a little bit about the construction of the watch, because I want you guys to hear the bezel action. Listen to this. 60 click bezel, unidirectional. Probably the best bezel action on any one of my watches. A little bit of back play, a little bit, but the feel, you tend to find back play with any 60 click watch. When you have a 120 click, the back play is always going to be a little bit less, but it's so positive feeling. I love the way this bezel feels. If you have a bezel fetish or like a fidget spinner, yeah, this one's fun. The crown, not signed, but this is probably the best crown action. Watch the release when it pops. Just it feels so positive. And this is an ETA 2824. So it's a very, what I find is a very reliable movement. Now, let's talk about the movement here for a second. It's a 2824 ETA. It's a 1,000-meter water-resistant watch. Now, it's funny. You go online and you search this case design. I believe this is a monoblock case, meaning that you can't pull off the back. I have no idea what that screw does. I'm assuming that's a helium escape valve, but I don't know. Maybe it holds in the movement. I'm not sure. And by the way, if you know more about this case than I do, which I'm assuming there's a lot of people that do, please leave a comment down below, because I haven't done enough research to figure that out. And I'm not a watch expert. I don't claim to ever know everything about watches, especially some of these very unique ones. There's certain things I just don't know. So if you know, please let us know. That we would all appreciate it, myself included. So, when you're talking about this particular case, again, it's a monoblock case. So I believe, and you can see it right here, if you look at the bezel, notice this see that little hole right there? I believe that's how you remove the bezel, and you pull it off the case. And then to get to the movement, you have to probably pull out the crystal from the front, if this is truly a monoblock case, which Crepas says if you need to get it serviced, you send it back to them. Sending this to a watchmaker is something that I definitely dread. But the good news about this example is it runs within 1 or 2 seconds a day, depending on how I'm going to set it down. It runs great. You'll notice that in the lights that you can see here that I have in the studio, it is very hard to film because of this high dome crystal. But take a close look at the dial, the handset. I mean, what a unique handset. The original Sandoz has a handset that's very similar to this, but I'm not sure if it's exactly the same. But tell me you've seen handsets that look like that. I mean, how unique is it? And that's the cool thing about the Crepas. Now, being that it is my WILDCARD watch and there's 400 of these out in the wild, I obviously came across the gray dial one. There's a black dial, I believe, orange and a yellow. And I probably would have preferred the orange or the yellow, but I'm happy with the gray dial. It's really cool. Now I want to talk about the availability of these watches, because if you go on Watch You Seek or eBay, you might find one. At the time of this filming, you could probably find one in the $400 to $500, maybe $600 US range. Some people are trying to sell them for closer to $1,000, and I think they do from time to time sell at that price point, but I don't think you really have to pay that price point to get one. But like I said, there are limited examples of this watch, so finding one is going to be a little tricky. And that's the thing about me, is I'm a watch hunter, and for me it's half the fun is just the thrill of the hunt. So hopefully you enjoy that process too. It's just it's the search that is so much fun, and it's so satisfying when you can find a watch like this that really fits your needs and is well constructed and as beautiful as this watch is. So I mean, if you ask me what is one of the drawbacks of this watch, I think it's getting it serviced, or if you have a problem with the watch, it's going to be, you might have to send it to Spain, or your watchmaker may not know what to do with it. But really the pros outweigh all of the cons in my view. So I'm going to take off what I'm wearing right now, which happens to be a Meritac mid pilot's watch. If you guys, you'll see a review on this. Just, again, subscribe to the channel so you can see reviews of some of these more unique watches that you're not going to see every day. Let me put this one on and show you how it feels, or show you how it wears. I have a 7¼ inch wrist, and so you can see on my wrist, it wears spectacular. And take a look at that brushing on the bezel, the brushing on the case, the very vintage inspired case, the polishing along the sides. I mean, it is a very, very stunning WILDCARD watch. It's that watch that's going to garner a little bit of attention, and it's going to make you induce certain feelings when you wear it. And that's what this watch really does for me. One of the other things I wanted to mention about this watch, you could have originally purchased this watch with an acrylic or this sapphire crystal. This happens to be the sapphire crystal. I think to get the 1,000 meter water resistance, you'd have to have the acrylic one. But I don't know who's ever going to put this watch to that test. Not me. But I will tell you that it's really cool. And even though it is a high dome, and I do worry about when I wear it, I just don't want to knock it up against anything. Being that it's a sapphire crystal, I feel a little bit better about wearing it. But this is my WILDCARD watch, guys and gals. And remember, if you like seeing content like this, you like seeing watches that are a little unique, not ones you're going to see every day, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Give me some comments on what you think about this particular watch, and like the video if you enjoyed the content as well. And if you've made it this far, my name's Blake. I'm a bit of a watchaholic, and I'm assuming if you've made it this far, you probably are one too. So I'll see you guys soon in the next video. Thanks for joining me. I'll talk to you soon.